And we are live across the internet. Jenny Q, it is so good to see you. It has been too long. How are you doing, kiddo?
I'm doing amazingly well. Thank you. You're right. I did love that intro. That was awesome. Always dialing it up, Mitch. It's so good here with you.
It gets you jacked up, you know, and one of the reasons that Jenny Q and I are going live, not only on Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, Amazon Live, and over on Clubhouse in audio is, and by the way, this is real time, you guys. Let me come back to Clubhouse. I want to bring it up, is because we want to talk to everyone about how excited we are, at least I am, I think Jenny Q may be, on the current state of social audio, live audio, like Clubhouse, like Twitter Spaces, like Spotify Green Rooms, and frankly, about 22 other major platforms. You know, what are the benefits? What are people doing right? What can we avoid doing wrong? These are some of the things that Jenny Q and I are going to be talking about. We've got some special guests coming in to join us throughout the next 55 or 60 minutes. And my favorite part about this show is just seeing you, Jenny Q. It's been way too long. Tell me a little bit about how life has been treating you. I know you've got a lot of exciting things. I've got multiple screens going on right now. And let me just first say and introduce you that my dear friend Jenny Q, Jennifer Quinn, we met on live video back in the day. We've become friends offline. She's been to the house. We've done conferences together. I've got notes over here. You know, in addition to Jenny Q being a live streaming expert, an accomplished author of a best-selling book on live streaming on Amazon, she's also one of my go-to recommendations when it comes to professionals and lawyers, which is, you know, what I do with building out their social media brands. This is the person. This is the person right here. This is the person right here. I love this reversed mirror screens. This is the person you want to reach out to get your questions answered and to get you going moving forward in 2021 and beyond. Jenny Q, how are you?
I'm doing so well. Thank you for that amazing introduction. We do go way back. I think we're going on 6 years when we met on Periscope, and then look at that. Yeah.
You know, distract you. I'm just showing Clubhouse, all of you on Clubhouse. I'm sharing you on social media across the world. Go ahead, Jenny.
Perfect. We've met at conferences, like you said, and you know, life is good. I mean, it's not without its challenges. All of us are feeling it. But I sure like focusing on the positive and what's going well. And so what's happening for me right now is I've recently relocated from Boise, Idaho to Scottsdale, Arizona. It was a very spontaneous. Yeah, most people didn't. It was very spontaneous. It was an accident. I came down for 2 weeks to see family, and then I stayed for 3 months, and then I just signed a lease on a condo for a year because it just feels right. So that's what I'm doing, ready to launch a podcast, which is something that came to me through the pandemic when we were all on lockdown, and I had some, you know, like many people had some kind of epiphanies. Oh, you know what? I want to also add this into what I'm doing. And so it's a personal development podcast. And I have not announced the name of it yet. So that's coming. If people want updates, they can go sign up at podcast.jennyq.live because it launches on September 23rd. But Mitch, what it is, and you know, you've been a part of this journey with me. I have, you know, over the past, since we've known each other, I've lost half my body weight. I've written a best-selling book. I've become the CMO of a tech company. And all that happened because of one moment that I had in my therapist's office when, for the first time in my life, after sharing all of my childhood trauma, which I'm convinced we all have, for the first time in my life, I felt seen. And what that did was it started me on a journey of healing and healing the shame and self-love. And so I now want to share resources with people to help them also on that journey. So I'm still on the journey. I'm inviting people on it with me. And that's my update, Mitch.
Wow. I'm glad I asked the question. That's an exciting update. And I think we should just change the whole topic of the show to more about your update, right? But
Let's don't.
And, I'm super happy for you. And for those of you just joining us, we're getting messages already, direct messages and private messages. Jenny Q and I are here to talk about the current state of social audio, live audio, what people are doing right, what people are doing wrong. How can you embrace the power of live audio to kind of build out your brand? What are some things that you can do? And by the way, we're going to get some guests in here to answer questions and to share their thoughts and how they're tapping into the power of live audio. What are some things you can do to kind of go from a sea of sameness to becoming, unforgettable when it comes to social media? And that's why we're doing today's show. Your podcast, though, I can't wait. I can't wait to listen to it. I can't wait to share it, Jenny Q. And hopefully between now and the end of the hour, we'll be able to come up with a name together. We'll be able to come up with some specifics and announce it to the world. If not, we'll do it later on social media. But let me tell everyone what's going on right now, okay? What's going on right now is we're broadcasting live on live video across social media, across the internet, to YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook groups, and Amazon Live. We're also live on audio over in Clubhouse. I'm holding up the Clubhouse little picture in the live video, you guys. It's good to see everyone. And, we've got Travis and John from Australia. We got Chris, we got Nick Rishwain, and Mark. We got a lot of other friends. If you guys want to join us and watch the video aspect of the video part of this particular broadcast, just jump over to streaming.lawyer and pick a link, whether it's on Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, Amazon Live. I'm guessing, Jenny Q, if they go to any of your accounts, if they go to any of my social media accounts, they'll be able to find this live stream. As a matter of fact, we are live. And let me just go over to my personal account on Facebook. What I've noticed oftentimes is you need to click and open it up from private to public. Let me just make sure that we are, and we're not. Let me go ahead and do this on my Facebook account. And now we're good. I'm going to come back to you. There you are. And let's talk a little bit about live audio, social audio. We're going to talk about and answer the questions, what is social audio? Why is social audio so compelling in 2021? As a matter of fact, I've got a couple of questions here. What is social audio? Okay, we're going to answer. In fact, we're going to answer this question right now. Jenny Q, tell us a little bit about what you think social audio is.
Yeah, totally. Social audio. So when you think of social media, it's any type of media that you engage with other people, right? And so social audio is just taking that same concept and putting it into an audio format. I know a lot of people talk about how it is like a live podcast, right? But you get to interact, and it's the same thing that happened with live video, where it was unprecedented on how you could reach new people. And I know, Mitch, I've been reading some of the articles that you've written about social audio, and you talk about how this is a different way to reach people you could have never met in any other way.
It's crazy. It's crazy. All you need, and for those of you on Clubhouse listening to this broadcast, I'm holding my phone up to the live video screen. Okay, this is what I like about this. And Carol Williams, I see you down in the green room. We're going to pull you up in a second, so get ready. But this is all you need is your smartphone to go live and have conversations around the world, okay? And you don't have to worry about how your hair looks. You don't have to worry about whether or not your shirt or your blouse or your robe or your pajamas. You don't have to worry about how you're dressed. You can jump in at any hour of the day and participate in conversations and contribute and add value to a room that you're involved with, whether it's on Clubhouse, Twitter Spaces, or over, for example, on Spotify Green Rooms. And it's super fast and it's super easy. I don't know about you, Jenny Q, but when we go live on live video, I like to make sure that my teeth are brushed, my hair's combed. I like to make sure that I look somewhat presentable, but you don't have to worry about that on social audio.
No, you really don't. And one of the things that I personally have experienced with social audio is, to me, it's much more intimate than live video or social video or any other way. Here's why I think that is. It's because, at least for me and people in my age group, we were raised talking to those closest to us on the telephone. So it's the audio connection that we're used to engaging in our most intimate ways with people that we're the closest to. And I certainly would be interested to know if I'm the only one that's done this, but I have shared stuff on social audio that I never would have shared on video or on social media because of that immediate sense of intimacy. Have you experienced the same thing?
Absolutely. There's something very intimate about social audio. And right now I'm looking over on the Clubhouse app. It's good to see everybody. I feel like everyone that's in the room, most of the individuals in the room, many I didn't know before social audio. And I actually feel like I know them very, very well because of the conversations that we've had, the, detailed discussions from the heart on things that matter to us. We've got Anna and John from South Africa. We've got Australia. Hey John. We've got Chris. We've got people from all over the world joining us. And let me just reset real quick. Up on the live video screen, I've got, why is social audio so compelling and popular in 2021? It's because of the things that Jenny Q and I have just talked about. What we're doing over on Clubhouse, everyone, is we are broadcasting live. If you go to streaming.lawyer, you can check out any of the links to watch us and join us on live video. You can ask questions, you can share your comments, but you can also do that on Clubhouse right now. If you want to jump up on stage and participate in the conversation, just raise your hand. If you want to ask a private direct message, a back channel, just go ahead and click the button and ask your question or share your comment. And Jenny and Q and I will incorporate it into our live video presentation today. We're live on YouTube, Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook groups, Facebook pages, and Amazon Live. So that's pretty exciting. And I think those are some of the reasons that I found social audio so compelling. Anthony Small, who's a friend of mine here in Southern California, gifted musician, someone that's really embracing the power of live video and social media to promote to music and to promote the arts here in Dana Point, California. Just commented, for those of you on Clubhouse who aren't watching the live video, Anthony says, thanks for putting up Facebook, just switched over from your website. You're welcome, Anthony. Everyone follow Anthony Small, love his music, and really enjoy everything he's doing. So Jenny Q, explain to everybody, maybe from an audio standpoint, as to what just happened here on our live video channel, the real-time interaction, because people on Clubhouse can't see what just happened.
Oh, so you're using an app called StreamYard. And with StreamYard, when somebody goes onto a live broadcast, whether it is on YouTube or Twitter or Facebook, the comment appears in the site. And since you're running the show, you see the comments come up, and then you can choose to share them on the screen. It shows the profile image of the person making the comment. It shows where they're watching from. So right now we have Colin Cameron from Twitter who is commenting, great initiative, Mitch and Jenny. And so thanks for joining us, Colin. And so one thing, the one reason why this is so valuable is because people love to be seen, heard, and validated. And that's where live video is so powerful, as well as social audio, live audio, because it gives us a chance to interact and acknowledge each other. And so, Mitch, I don't know about you, but before apps like StreamYard came around, I was opposed to multicasting for the reason that there's no, because back in the day, people were, having 5 different devices on, going live to 5 different places, but you couldn't actually engage one-to-one or one-to-many in a meaningful way. And I know this is important to you, Mitch, with social media, and that is build the relationship. And the best way to build the relationship is to validate, see, hear, and know, and just be engaged one-on-one.
It is. And I think engagement, and I think everyone on Clubhouse and on all the different live platforms right now, people that have been doing this a while, it's all about the engagement, the human interactions. It's tough to do right now when we're doing this live video show. I've got so much going on, Jenny Q.
I know you do.
We've already got 22 questions by either DMs or text messages. And let me just go ahead, Carol, I'm going to give you about a 30-second update. We're going to bring you up in about 30 seconds. If you guys have questions, okay, what I want you guys to do is you can DM them to us. You can back channel or direct message them to us here on Clubhouse. You can raise your hand and jump up on stage and join us on Clubhouse, and we'll be piping your audio through the live video. Or you can message me and request to join us live on video, and we'll bring you up if it's appropriate. The text number, by the way, everyone, is 1-800-661-7044, 1-800-661-7044. And you can DM Jenny Q or me on Twitter or Instagram, and we'll look for your questions, your comments, and then we'll try to answer them live. So Jenny Q, you need to bring up Instagram and Twitter on your tabs, okay, and look for incoming questions, because I'm overwhelmed right now. I can't handle it.
I didn't know I was working during this. I thought we just came on here to play.
Well, you know what? That's just the way I roll. So
it is the way you roll. Okay, I'm opening.
Here's what we're going to do. We're going to transition over to, how can we tap into the power of social audio? What are some examples? What are some ways that other people who we know, people who I trust, people who I look up to, how are they embracing social media? We're going to go into some specific examples. But one of the cool things about live video is I can bring up friends. And one of my friends I'm going to bring up right now, Carol, you are up, and we're bringing her to the live video show, is Carol Williams. Carol Williams is an experienced immigration lawyer. She's an immigration guru. She helps companies and families navigate the U.S. immigration system. What I like about Carol is she's a great lawyer, but she's also a runner, a backpacker, and she's an advocate of adult naps. And so am I. So Carol, it's good to see you. It's been too long. How you doing, Carol?
I am good. How are you guys doing?
Doing fantastic. This is so much fun. Carol, I looked at an American Bar Association article about Clubhouse. And by the way, aren't there something like 400,000 or 500,000 members of the American Bar Association?
Something like that. There's a few members.
There's a few members. So there are literally hundreds of thousands of members of the American Bar Association, everybody, and they have a old school offline traditional magazine called the American ABA Journal, which is also, of course, online. And I think 2 months ago, if I'm not mistaken, a big article came out, and guess what, everyone? A big article about lawyers using Clubhouse came out. And this lawyer right here, this superstar right here, was one of the lawyers profiled in the article. Carol, tell us a little bit about what led you over to the Clubhouse platform, and how are you using Clubhouse to build your brand, build relationships, and help people with their immigration challenges?
Yeah, I started off honestly on Clubhouse because it was the latest, greatest piece of social media. And so I wanted to check it out to see what it was all about. I think during COVID last year when I got on, people were craving human connection that we weren't getting via just pictures and scrolling. And Clubhouse really gave people across the world a platform and an opportunity to connect real time at a time when people were craving connection and conversation. And not only could you connect with, people that were down the street that you normally would see in person, but you weren't because of the pandemic, you were able to connect with people all over the world. So that's what drew me to Clubhouse to start with. What keeps me on Clubhouse, however, is very different. There's still that sense of connection, but I like to listen. I really like to listen, and Clubhouse is a great place to listen and learn. There are millions of topics happening and that you can learn about on Clubhouse. And so one of the ways I use Clubhouse as a lawyer, as opposed to my non-lawyer hat, is, going into rooms where people that I work with are in, and not necessarily the actual individual people that I work with, but other lawyers, folks that are in HR, folks that are in logistics and management, all that. And I get to listen to them talk about what is important for them and their businesses. What do they find difficult? What do they find funny? Like, what do they hate? What do they love? So it's a great way to sort of pop into a room and listen and learn, quite honestly. I've heard HR people say, oh, I really hate when our outside lawyers do that. And I was like, note to self. Or, conversely, I've heard them say, I work with this great outside counsel, and they really keep me in the loop, and here's how they do it. And I'm like, secondary, note to self. And so in that sense, it's this amazing platform where I can learn. But it's also a great place because I can talk to people and figure out what their specific immigration issues are, and invite them to DM me, and then, Mitch, you say this all the time, is we start that social media dance. We start that relationship dance. And, it gives people an opportunity to hear their lawyer, to hear their potential lawyer, to hear someone that they may want to work with. Listen, there are 1,001 immigration attorneys out there, right? And
There's only
1,001
one
of them.
Carol Williams, though. I'm not going to let you go there. There's only one Carol Williams.
But that's the beauty of the audio, right? Is that I can sit in a room with really 12 other incredibly talented immigration lawyers, and there can be 100 people in the audience, and there is space for everyone to shine. Everyone's personal sauce comes through, and everybody gets to hear that. And, I think for me, sometimes the magic is being on stage with other immigration lawyers, and we're helping other people. And it's not about competition. It's not about I'm better than you or you're better than, it's not about that. It's really just having a conversation, imparting knowledge, me saying, listen, that's a great question that you've asked. I don't know the answer, but you know what? I think Josh knows the answer, and Josh is like, I do know the answer. Yeah. And it's an amazing place to be able to help other people too. So I just think there's so many facets of Clubhouse that I think are really cool, and so it keeps me coming back. And then there's like the whole fun side of Clubhouse, there's just
fun when it comes to practicing law.
Yeah, that's weird.
Fun.
Right?
So Carol, let me unpack this a little bit, because I want you to know you're getting a lot of hearts right now over on Amazon Live. I just want you to know that. And Jim, it's good to see you over on Amazon Live, and everyone else watching us. We've got this live broadcast going on Clubhouse via audio. We have a question. Why aren't we on Twitter Spaces? I don't know. Maybe I dropped the ball on Twitter Spaces. I'm a big fan. But we're not broadcasting Twitter Spaces, but we are broadcasting live on Twitter, all the other platforms. Carol, you mentioned something about listening. And I want to take this over to Jenny Q real quick. Jenny Q, Carol was talking about listening to the conversation, listening to the questions. How important is it when it comes to social audio to listen to what's going on in a room, maybe before raising your hand and taking the stage?
Oh, absolutely. And Carol, I love what you said about the collaboration of people in your specific industry. That's powerful. That's just so win-win-win, right? And so, Mitch, you're 100% right. And I've seen you in Clubhouse or Twitter Spaces or any social audio app where you do that so masterfully. You listen to everything that's been said, and then before you'll raise your hand and you'll add value, and you'll share what a highlight was or what somebody said to let people know that you're engaged. And that's really important to do, because it shows that you're not there to just say, hey, look at me, right? You're actually part of the community, and you're adding value based on what has already been said.
Yeah. And I think what's interesting, especially for lawyers, and Carol and I are both attorneys, is, oftentimes it's a challenge. We have all the answers. We already know how to fix everyone's problems. And we have to learn how to just keep, because there's a digital dance, there's a dynamic with social and social audio. And the reason I was bringing that up, Jenny Q, is as you just highlighted, it's really important for us to really focus in on, what exactly is the concern? What's the real problem? Oftentimes it's not what people think. And by listening on social audio, whatever platform we're on, we can then come in and add a little bit more value. Maybe ask a few questions, maybe share some resources, maybe help. And, one of the things I wanted to share at the top of the show, and we're still kind of at the top of the show, is the mindset, Carol and Jenny Q, with social media. In other words, you want to have a certain mindset of being a go-giver, as Bob Berg would say, as adding value, as contributing to the conversation, as adding value to the room. And by the way, everyone, we've got a full room over on Clubhouse right now. I'm showing the display on my smartphone to the live video feed across all the socials. And I want each and every one of you to know over in Clubhouse, if you have questions, just go ahead and raise your hand, and I'll ask those questions live on the live audio. John did ask a question, and John, no, LinkedIn hasn't really done anything new. I've taken some additional steps to broadcast this on LinkedIn. So I hope that answers your question. But Carol and Jenny Q, talk to us a little bit about what affirmative steps you've taken to try to teach yourself to listen a little bit more clearly, to listen in a new way when you're engaging on social audio. Carol, what have you started to do different, if anything at all, when listening on social audio?
I listen not with the intent of providing an automatic answer, and really hearing the tone of someone's voice. Because I think someone can say the exact same words, but the tone is very different. And everyone would talk about non-audio social, and they're like, oh, be careful of your tone, right? But on audio, you hear the tone. And so I've really as a lawyer, it's hard to do some days, but I just shut my mouth and really listen to the tone that someone's using, and the words that they're using. And something that was really hard for me to do in the beginning of my career as a lawyer was not automatically converting someone's words to the legalese, just letting their words be their words and understanding them in that very genuine way in which they're expressing themselves. And I think on non-audio, it was so easy for me to get away from that. But when it's audio, I hear their tone, I hear that they're happy, I hear that they're sad, I hear that they're anxious, I hear that they're nervous. And that frames how I then can interact with somebody. And so that, I think, for me personally, for audio, has been a game changer, because you already have the tone if you've been really listening to someone when they then send a DM, or conversely, when I send a DM, because I may be a potential client, or I may be someone who's reaching out saying, hey, I'd love to learn more about what you were talking about, in this Clubhouse room. And so that sense of tone that we haven't had in social media, for me, has been really, really great in order as a jumping point and as a starting point to a conversation. You don't, there's that whole guesswork is gone, because you hear it. Like, you absolutely know when someone's like totally happy or totally sad or totally like amped up about something, or like you hear that in their voice, which is stunningly amazing, and I love it.
Well, you do a good job of asking open-ended questions. I've heard you before, and you'll ask questions and you'll listen to the answer before then, on social audio, vocally sharing the next suggested tip, sharing the next resource. And Jenny Q, I think that's so important for us to listen and then ask the right types of questions on the social audio applications to get the conversation going, to keep us focused on what the topic of the particular room is, to embrace the power of the back channels, whether it's on Clubhouse, whether it's using Instagram direct messages or Twitter direct messages to keep the conversations going. Talk to us a little bit, Jenny Q, about how you keep that conversation going. You do what Carol said, you ask that question, you listen to the response, but how can you use back channels to keep the conversation going, to start building the relationships and maybe taking things to the next point where when it's all said and done, you may have a paid customer, you may have a new client if you're a lawyer, the opportunities are endless.
Yes, of course, endless. And I love what Carol is saying. You can hear the tone. I mean, it's all the difference in the world, right? One of the things that I started doing early on with Clubhouse and also with Twitter Spaces is I always have a notepad in front of me and a pen, and I take notes when people are speaking because I want to make sure that I'm attributing the right thing to the right person if it comes up again, if I happen to take the stage. And if I don't take the stage, but something either I thought was brilliant or it was touching or I felt like they really were courageous with sharing something, then I go find them on either Twitter or Instagram or somewhere, and I send them a private message and I just speak from the heart. And, I'm sure there's a lot of people doing a lot of strategic things there. For me, it's truly just about relationships. And if at some point it makes sense for us to do business together, I might be a client of theirs. They might be a client of mine, right? But either way, it's about the relationship first. And so if I feel like if you're reaching out and you're engaging with people from a really authentic place, you're just not going to go wrong.
The mindset's so important. I think the mindset for embracing the power of social audio, building relationships, marketing your practice or business, building your brand. Once you have that go-giver mindset, which is critically important, I think once you understand that, I think everything else starts to fall into place. And for those of you watching this live video over on Amazon Live, I am sharing Jenny Q's book. It's either above or below or next to this live video feed. It's a best-selling book on live streaming, on live video. You can pick it up and learn how to do some of the things that we're talking about. I'm also bouncing my book in and out of the picture, you guys. And these are the things, for example, in my book, the book's broken down into 3 parts. The first part's about having the right mindset. The second part's about understanding the personalities of the social media platforms. And the third part, my favorite's about how to communicate and persuade on the social media platforms, okay? Everything we're talking about with social audio, you're not born with knowing how to do. These are all things that you can learn how to do, right? And most of the people in our crew, in our crowd, in our community, really smart people. Like they can pick this stuff up in a day or two of focused effort. And so if you want to learn how to have the right mindset and ask the right questions and start building the community in a way that's focused on engagement and empowerment, and you lead with empathy, especially now in this COVID-19 world, and you allow compassion to serve as your compass as the conversations develop, I think that is what keeps us moving in the right direction with building our brands on social audio. Carol, I don't want to put you on the spot, but you're a trained lawyer. You've seen everything there is to see in this world. One of the challenges I see with lawyers is that, well, I don't want to get in a room and have the conversation go sideways on me. I don't want to get in a room and there might be a troll that somehow gets on stage and says something that makes me uncomfortable. I don't want to get in the room and have somebody, hijack the conversation. Can you share just a couple of thoughts about how we can manage our social audio accounts, how we can manage our rooms, why it's okay to block or mute people? I mean, give some other lawyers, some ideas on why all of that's okay.
I think I can tell you what I do. I reset the room and set.
What does that mean? Explain what that means.
Sure. So when I start a room, I set the expectations of what the room is about, the people that are on stage, the other moderators, who they are, what they do, what we're going to be talking about and what is acceptable and what is absolutely not acceptable. Period. End of story. If you don't like what's not acceptable, then you can go to another room, right? And listen, I'm a type A Gemini. I have 50,000 personalities in me, but we all agree on that, right? There is no reason to troll someone else. There's no reason to be rude. There is no reason to start attacking other people. And so we can come together and have a conversation, and we can have different viewpoints. What we cannot do in rooms that I moderate is be rude. And I say that, right? And I'm very clear about that in my rooms. I do it with,
So whose room is this, Carol? Is this your room?
Yeah. Whenever anybody will ask me to moderate a room or whatever, or to be on stage, that's usually the role I take. And I'm okay with that, right?
Yeah.
And I think it's okay if you know that is not your strong suit. If being the hammer, so to speak, is not your strong suit, find someone who is. Find someone who can moderate with you, who doesn't have a problem saying, hey, that's not what we're about in this room. This room is about X. We want to encourage conversation. We are okay with differences of opinion, but we're not okay with going after people. I've been in rooms where certain words are completely and 100% off limits. And that's totally fine, but I think you've got to tell people what your room is about, and then reset the room. And by reset the room, I mean depending on how long you think your room's going to be, depending on how the conversation is going. If you think the conversation is going off track, you can reset the room, and that is simply reminding people the focus and the purpose of the room. If there are some rules and guidelines that you have in your room, that is a great time to tell people what they are. Like I always tell people, especially if it is a room of lawyers and there are lawyers on the stage, I'm like, listen, guys, all these moderators, all these speakers, we're all lawyers, but guess what? We are not your lawyer. And if you would like us to be your lawyer, all of us have a very different process to make that happen. So feel free to hit people up in their DMs, and then you can have that conversation one-on-one so that they can be your lawyer. But as long as we're up on the stage, we are not your lawyer. We are simply lawyers having a conversation with you. We are not starting an attorney-client relationship right here. That is not how that works in my firm. It's not how that works in anybody else's firm on the stage. So I say it in a way that hopefully it does not offend, but it definitely gets our point across. And I'm very clear. I say, listen, all these lawyers on the stage today, we are getting off stage with our licenses fully intact, period. Right? Fully intact. There will be no issues.
Yeah, for the lawyers watching this, we know this, but the general consumer may not. We're bound by certain state bar rules and regulations as to what we can say and do when we communicate both traditionally offline or online on the social and digital platforms. And that applies to social audio, right? Mm-hmm. But what I'm hearing, Carol, is that you take control of the rooms. And Chris Stone, I'm going to give you a heads up. You're probably about 60 seconds out, my friend. So just so you know, I see you in the green room. Appreciate you being here. But Jenny Q, maybe share a couple of tips. You're in a room. You're trying to moderate the conversation. I think this includes who you invite up on stage, who you ask to be a co-moderator, how you handle when somebody says something that's uncomfortable or inappropriate for the room. I think many of the things that you've taught us over the years on live streaming and live video apply to live audio. Just following up on some things that Carol mentioned, what are some tactful techniques to maybe steer the conversation in the right direction so that we're not ruffling feathers, we're not hurting people's feelings, but we're keeping things moving in the direction that we want to keep them moving in?
Well, Unfortunately, you gave me the caveat on ways to do it without ruffling feathers, because there are definitely situations where you have to ruffle feathers. So the way I see it is,
I love it. I love it.
you,
Look at you, Jenny Q. Bring it.
you know, I'm not a lawyer, but boy, when I'm running a room, I am the judge. And the room is my courtroom, and I'll decide who gets to stay and who gets to go. And I have had situations where someone came in and was very rude, and this is how I learned it, right? It was early on, and somebody was very rude and derailed the entire conversation. If I knew then what I know now, I wouldn't have hesitated to just kick him out and reset the room, as Carol said, and just move on. And so the other thing that I would say is, as a moderator and as the judge of the courtroom, don't be afraid to interrupt somebody who is derailing it, even if you don't have to boot them out. Don't be afraid to just take control back. Hey, thank you for your time. Thank you for your input. I need to move on now. You know, I want to circle back to something that was said earlier from so-and-so, et cetera. There are lots of ways to do it that you also are protecting your brand and your reputation. What have you done, Mitch? I want to hear what you do.
Well, you had me at being the judge. I like that. Carol can relate to this. You know, look, I don't take any BS from anybody. I want to encourage a meaningful conversation and dialogue. I want to keep things positive, but it's also my room. It's my show. It's my social audio stream. Right now, everyone just joining us, and Jim, it's good to see you. Just giving you a heads up, probably 60 seconds out. You know, we're broadcasting now, you know, live across Clubhouse, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube, Amazon Live. And there's a lot going on. We've got a lot of questions coming in, and it's very easy to make a mistake. It's very easy to say something that I didn't mean to say, but I'm just not the sharpest knife in the drawer. So I make mistakes. I think you have to own the mistakes. You have to be real and transparent. I think as long as you speak from the heart, everybody kind of gets it. Everyone's okay and very understanding when it comes to mistakes. Not that the two of you ever make them, but there's also a lot going on. And I think when you balance the pros and cons, right? You balance the pros and cons of our digital courtroom. Like, what's the downside? And this, you know, Jim and Chris, I'm going to ask you guys to maybe talk a little bit about this when I bring you up. What's the downside with going live, whether it's social audio, whether it's live video? What's the downside? Oh, I may make a mistake. I may not use the right grammar. My audio or video may not work. Okay, that's the downside. What's the upside? The upside is we're making connections around the world. The upside is that we're sharing, you know, what we bring to the table with an entire new audience. The upside is hopefully we're helping answer questions for the lawyers out there that consumers have, especially right now in this upside down, challenging COVID-19 world. The upside for me substantially outweighs the downside. And I think when you take that upside and you blend in the ability to make new relationships and new connections, and frankly, you guys, for the lawyers watching this, new referral sources back to your firm, you know, I just think this is a no-brainer. This is like what everyone should be doing, and why I wanted to go ahead and roll the dice and balance that downside with the upside with what Jenny Q and I wanted to do today. And Carol, I'm so glad that you're here. You always bring so much value to the show. But speaking of upside, everyone, let me bring in Chris and Jim, two friends of all of ours, to the show. So let me click a couple of buttons here, and excuse me if I mess anything up. But you guys, we have Jim Fuse and Chris Stone joining us today. These guys are live streaming and marketing experts. They are Amazon influencers. They are two of my go-to experts when it comes to video questions, live video questions, live streaming questions, and especially Amazon Live questions. These are the guys that got me on Amazon Live. And for that, the two of you, thank you very much. Let's talk about social audio. You've been listening to the conversation in the background. Tell us, if you would please, business owners, CEOs, professionals like lawyers, doctors, and maybe CPAs, the pros and cons of going all in when it comes to live audio. Jim, why don't you start us off?
Okay. Yeah. Well, first, Mitch, thanks for having us. Jenny, great to see you. And Carol, was great listening to a lot of your insights as well. I think the biggest thing is people got to you know, as Chris Kremitzos would say, just start ugly, right? You're giving yourself an opportunity to interact with people. And, you know, even when you get into live streaming, social audio is like live streaming, but you don't have to be on camera. You don't have to take a shower. You know, you can be sitting just about anywhere and
Is that a
nobody
good
will
thing,
know,
Jim?
right? I don't have to put
Is
on
that
my
a good thing
makeup.
we don't have to take a shower?
Right. You know, but I had to take a shower for this because I know I was going to be on video. But I think that's one of the things, social audio, you know, you can listen to it. I like some of the things that are developing. I mean, I know we're on Clubhouse, but like on Twitter Spaces, you can even now listen on desktop. So you can consume. And I think it's so important to listen to what people are saying. And the biggest thing I've seen about social audio, say, compared to some of these other platforms, is that you're connecting with people that you would have never connected with if you just stayed in your, whatever you want to call it, Facebook lane, whatever, because now people are coming, you get a chance to, you know, maybe get on stage like we are here today. And people's like, you know, I like what that person said. I'm going to go check them out. I met people, you know, that live in my own backyard that I had no idea lived here. And because of Clubhouse, we're now connected on social and I can keep up with them. So I think that's one of the reasons as a business owner, you gotta, you know, take that leap and get started. No one's saying you got to host a room and do all these other things, but just at least start to listen.
So important. And Jim, you know, I want to thank you for getting me involved with Amazon Live and tapping into that community. Chris, talk to us a little bit. How can professionals, you know, embrace what? First of all, what is Amazon Live? Maybe talk to us a little bit about what that platform's all about, and how can people maybe reach out to you and Jim to become more involved in those platforms?
Yeah, thanks again, Mitch and Jenny Q for bringing us on. This is awesome.
You're
But
on mute, Chris.
Oh, I'm on mute. Great.
No, I can hear you.
I can hear you.
You can hear
Okay.
I can hear you.
Jim, I'm only on mute for you. But in any event, on Amazon Live, I'm not on mute for Jim, and we do a show, and it's called Dealcasters Live. But you know, Amazon a couple of years ago did this Amazon Influencers program, and you know, you have to qualify on three, you know, Facebook Business, YouTube, or Instagram, and you can go live, but also create a shop, do videos, do shoppable photos, and create an influencer thing for yourself. But I know this whole thing is about social audio, Mitch and Jenny Q, and I can't help but think, and you know, listening to Carol and listening to what everyone's talking about here, and listening to what everyone here is also about here, is like, you know, video and audio. Like for years, Mitch, I had been editing podcasts. And I'm going through and I'm editing out the ums and the uhs and the multiple, all of those things, and I'm also doing it on video. But once you go live, all bets are off. And when you watch someone live, and when you watch someone talk about a product, when you watch someone talk about their life, when you know, their story, whatever they're going through, you can tell it's authentic, right? And so when social audio launched, when Clubhouse launched, when Greenhouse, when Twitter Spaces, when all of this stuff launched, it was like all of the lights went on for people because, you know, and you guys said it earlier when you were talking earlier, how many times did you say something in a Clubhouse room and you were like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I just said that? Right? Yeah. And so that's what social audio is about. And so if you're a lawyer, if you're a content creator, if you're a garbage collector, you know, respect to the garbage collectors, whatever, you know, like you're putting it out there live. And when you do that, your story is out there and you're going to connect with other people. You would never have done that before. And so, you know, whether it's Amazon Live, whether it's Clubhouse, whether it's Twitter Spaces, whether it's video, whether it's audio, it really is blending out there, and it's getting your stories out there, and it's something that we're just riding the wave, and I don't even know what it's going to be like 6 months from now, let alone 2 years from now.
Which is what makes it exciting. Chris, I
Yeah.
mean, that's what makes this technology exciting. I actually think if you had a garbage man going by the street, doing the garbage cans things right, and incorporating 3 elements into his live video or his live audio, whatever it might be. That is, he's somewhat entertaining. He's making it interesting how he or she gets on and off the truck. Maybe there's a dance move. Maybe there's a gymnastics move. Maybe there's a comedic move to it. Making it unique. That in and of itself is a unique product, that particular live video or live audio. And then making it shareable so other people can share it from all their different social media platforms. So if I see this person on TikTok, I can hit the share button and share it to Twitter and Facebook. And before you know it, we're going to see, that individual probably on a big screen someday doing something amazing. It's like the possibilities are just crazy. But you brought up something that I would like to ask the panel because I think it's super important, especially for us that are really busy. And that is, for example, embracing this type of technology. Okay. And for those of you just joining us, we got a lot of questions coming in. We are live on Clubhouse, which is audio only. And on Clubhouse, everyone, I'm holding up my phone to the live video stream, which is going out to Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, Amazon Live, YouTube, and a couple other places. A lot's happening right now. And within, this is an hour show or whatever we decide to do with it. I don't have a hard stop, you guys. But once this show is done, once this live video show is done, we have a video component and we have a social audio component, not only on Clubhouse, but here on our desktops and laptops. Chris, maybe just starting back with you and working over to Jim, Carol, and Jenny Q. How are all of you maximizing the efficiency of your time by taking this single live video, live audio broadcast and repurposing it in other ways? Jim, what are you doing? I mean, Chris, what are you doing to start us off?
It's my favorite thing to do. And so that's one of the great things about social audio and live video is it got me through my perfectionism. It completely washed me through it because there was stuff that I just was like, okay, this is live. And all of a sudden it was like, okay, I don't have to spend 4 hours editing out all of these things. I can just go with this. And what that just broke down the walls for me. And so what we do is we incorporate lately.ai, we incorporate Agora Pulse, we incorporate all of these things that we take, today we're talking, we're going to have content. It doesn't matter if we're here for 5 minutes. It doesn't matter if we're here for 55 minutes. We're going to take that and we're going to parse it into something that's going to pull out something that we're going to be able to spread out. And somewhere somebody is going to be impacted by the content that we're speaking about, because there's too many people that are speaking live on social audio, are going live on video, and they're just leaving it out there. They're not doing anything about it. And it's important that we just take that, because there's great things that are being said. I can't tell you how many times, Mitch, Jenny Q, how many times you've been in a Clubhouse room and you're going, oh my God, this is just this was just so awesome what that person said. And then you're trying to tell people about it, but like, where is it? Right? Where is that content? Like, we have to take we have to take ownership, take responsibility of that content and spread it and put it out there for people.
Jim, how are you complementing the whole repurpose mindset, in addition to what Chris may have mentioned, to minimize the amount of time you're spending on this, but to maximize that impact, that local, national, and global impact of the content that you're creating?
Well, I think first of all, it's extremely important to do the repurposing, because I think the mistake people make is you just had a great interview and you're off to your next interview. And because that stuff stays on the shelf, it's like that's the stuff you really needed to be sharing with people. And so what we do, like Chris said, is we'll take those nuggets. I mean, we still share stuff out from when you were on our show, Mitch, and that was like months ago. I don't know, it might have been last year.
Still have have people commenting about it too, Mitch. All kinds of people.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it's Mitch.
Right.
Right?
But I think you've got to take time, even if it's 15 minutes a day, to go find some of that stuff and send it out there add value to your network, tag the
Mm.
people that were involved in those conversations, and make it about them and not about yourself.
You got to find time. Jim, none of us have enough time. We're busy lawyers, we're busy doctors, we're busy accountants, right? We're busy business owners. Carol, talk to us a little bit about how you might get up a little bit earlier than the other lawyers in town, or maybe you're up later at night than your competition to make this happen.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because my mother just asked me today, like, when exactly do you sleep? And I was like, oh, I sleep. But yeah, it's, for me, it is taking the video, because I go live on LinkedIn, and then it pushes, actually on StreamYards, it pushes out to YouTube, it pushes out to LinkedIn, it pushes out to Facebook. So I take those, use a service, have them transcribed, and then take those transcriptions, turn those into social media posts, turn them into blog articles, and then push them out to my network that way. What I am not so good at, full transparency, is taking audio clips and pushing out small audio clips from the larger live. So I'm not very good at that. So y'all hold me accountable. That's sort of my next thing. But, I think for people that are listening, because Mitch has been so helpful for me, and, in getting my voice together and just getting over being perfect and all of that, right? Is take it one step at a time. So while I say that, I'm not using the audio clips, I used to not be on video at all. I used to not do a blog. I didn't know what repurposing was, right? And so, I say that, I'm not using the audio clips the way I think I should be, but I don't feel bad about that, right? I look back where I came, like just a couple of years ago, and I'm like, oh, wow, I actually do know what repurposing is now in 2021. And not only do I know what it is, I'm actually doing it, And so I think there are definitely people that are listening who are like, this is just way too much. It's like information overload. And I would just say, take one thing, just take one thing to repurpose and start that one thing, and then go, and then add another thing and add another thing, because when I first started this, I was like, Mitch, I can't speak in public, like live. We're not doing this. Like, it would take me an hour and a half to film a 30-second video. And then I was like, oh, I can't publish that. And now I'm like, whatever, like it's out there, it's just it's out there.
You're very good at it. But here's the thing, you guys, with Carol, Carol, how many years did you have working for the immigration department? How long was that?
Oh, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5-ish years, somewhere in there.
So she worked, for the U.S. Immigration Department. Now she's on the other side of the aisle, helping clients with their immigration needs. She brings that insider experience to her clients, benefit. And it was like too much value. There's too much value there that I wasn't going to let you keep that to yourself. You needed to get that out.
I was so worried about it not sounding and being perfect, right? I was so worried. And then I was like, oh, whatever. I'm over that now.
Yeah. Well, and I love it when you combine it with your runs and your walks like I do. I think it shows another side of your personality. Jenny Q, we got a question on Clubhouse. Just real quick, you guys, we are on Clubhouse. For those of you listening on Clubhouse, we're broadcasting live. If you go over to streaming.lawyer, you can find a platform to watch the live video feed. It is recorded, everybody. If you can't stick around for the whole thing, Anna, it was good to see you on Clubhouse. It will be recorded. But Jenny Q, repurposing content, keeping the conversation going. One of the things you're really good at is after the show's over, after the social audio room is done, sometimes like the next day, I'll get a message from you on Facebook Messenger. I'll get a message from you on Instagram DM following up with a thought or a comment or a suggestion, or maybe something we need to do together to follow up, on another Clubhouse room. Talk to us a little bit about the power of private messaging after the event, after the social audio room, to keep the conversation going, to keep building those relationships. I think that's something that a lot of people miss out on, but that's where the connections are made.
Absolutely. You want to take the relationships that you're forming inside that community, whether it's Clubhouse or on a Facebook Live or wherever you are, and take them to another platform and then ultimately take them offline as soon as possible. It's so funny. I was speaking to a client today who's a young attorney, and I said something to him about that. And he said, hey, that's like Tinder. That's what they said on Tinder. Take it offline as soon as possible. And I'm like, well, okay, so maybe that is similar. Having never used Tinder, I didn't know that was their tagline. But what I really like is just focus on the relationship. And so you're continuing the connection in different platforms so that you can get to know each other. And because it may or may not make sense to do business with someone moving forward. Mitch, one thing I do want to throw out there, I love what Carol and Chris and Jim all said about repurposing. One of the things that I do with my clients who are either they have an accounting firm or they have a law firm, we start even before that with our repurposing. So we have our SEO guy do the research to find out which topics are the most searched either on Google for our niche or on YouTube. And then we create the content from there. Because what I have found with professionals is that they know their stuff, and to slow them down, to get them to write it out, kind of takes a while, right? But if you can just get them talking, whether it's on social audio, whether it's on video, and you just give them the topic and say, these are the 3 points we need you to hit for our SEO goals, then they can just knock it out. And oftentimes, that can be batched, right? So that now you have the video or the social component. And then on top of that, you can have, like they were talking about, transcribing them, creating blog posts, creating social media posts. And the professional doesn't have to do that. That falls on the team. And so, always start with the end in mind. And even Mitch, I wouldn't be surprised if you do this. When I watch you, I'm like, okay, you come up with some really fascinating topics that I suspect are generated by either, and I don't want to call you out. I mean, I don't want to put you on the spot. Actually, I kind of do. Do you do that with the SEO research, or do you do that with newsjacking? How do you incorporate your topics? Because they're really interesting and I see how they're tying in.
So I think I want to keep this fun and interesting because life's got too many challenges. We're all going through a lot right now. And so if it's not fun or interesting to me, I'm not going to spend my time being involved with it. So when I'm talking about content on social media, it's usually something that just interests me. It's something that fascinates me. Just my upbringing, why I became a lawyer to take on the bullies, whether it's politics, whether it's technology. I just enjoy all of this stuff. And I was around before I'm much older than the rest of you. I was around before the internet, you guys. And I remember meeting one client at a time across my desk, spending an hour answering questions, one client after another. And at the end of the day, maybe I met with 5 or 6 clients and I was able to help them. Well, with the internet and social media and what we're doing right now on social audio and live video is we're able to help, 1 to 100, 1 to 1,000, 1 to 10,000. Sometimes it's 1 to 30,000. The opportunities are there to really make an impact and add more value than ever before. I'm looking at, so for me, Jenny Q, it's talking about things that are of interest to me and using technology to leverage that and amplify doing that while at the same time being able to shine a light on more amazing people. There's a lot of cool human beings around this world, right? I mean, right here in this live video, all friends of mine. And I wouldn't have met any of you if it wasn't for live video. Well, I'm looking right now on Amazon Live, you guys. This is what's displaying on Amazon Live right now. Thank you, Jim and Chris. And we're, promoting, Jenny Q's book, and things like this. And this technology just allows us to really amplify the goodness and the wonderful things that other people are doing. And I think that's one of the reasons, Jenny Q, I wanted to kind of do this at the last minute and try to incorporate live audio with live video and see if we could pull this off. And I knew with everybody here, if it didn't work, it wouldn't be a big deal. But I can tell you guys right now, it's worked really well because we're getting a lot of good feedback. And so maybe the takeaway, just kind of wrapping everything up, and I want to give you guys a heads up. Maybe everyone will give a 60-second conclusion. But the takeaway for me is to give yourself permission to try new things, to give yourself permission to explore venues and platforms that are of interest to you, and to share topics and conversations, and to build relationships with other people who you want to be around. And I think when you do that, it shows. When you do that, you connect. When you do that, you can amplify your brand. And at the end of the day, when you do that, you can direct new business back to your office, to your factory, to your practice, so that you can take care of your family at the end of the day. And for me, that's what social audio and social video has been all about. David Merriman Scott, I did tell him I was going to give his book a shout out. So over on Amazon Live, everybody, if you're watching right now, The New Rules of Marketing by David Merriman Scott. David's a gentleman and friend of mine that got me on stage at Tony Robbins, everybody, the last couple of years. This book is in its 7th edition, and there's a reason why I'm bringing it up, social audio reason. It's had more than 400,000 copies sold in English. It's been republished in 29 different languages, you guys, and it's rolling out next year, early next year, in its 8th edition. And in the 8th edition, David's incorporating a chapter on social audio, on Clubhouse and Twitter Spaces. He gets it. He understands how powerful these platforms are. And I was fortunate to be interviewed for that chapter along with some other people. Had we not been playing in the social audio sandbox, had we not been on live video doing what we're doing right now, that interview opportunity would have never come up. Okay. And so all I want to share with you guys is that if you look at the resources that we'll be sharing in the comments, at the post where you're watching or listening to this show, you'll see the end result. You'll see what you can do by taking social audio and leveraging it to the next level. And for me, Jenny Q, it's a matter of just kind of complementing what I'm already interested in. But I do like the point about being out on a run, not having shaved. I'm sweaty, I'm nasty looking, and I can just jump on social audio and share my thoughts and have a conversation. To me, that's a lot of fun, right? And that's the power of social audio for me. Carol, Jim, and Chris, maybe wrapping things up. Carol, what are your final thoughts on the power of social audio?
I love social audio. It is an incredible place to just be yourself. You I don't have to put on a full face of makeup. I don't put on lipstick. I don't have to wear like a cute blouse. You can just be yourself. And I think not only on social audio, I think that's on all media platforms, right? Just be yourself and your tribe will find you. You will find your tribe. And it's fun. Just have fun with it. Stop. Don't try to be perfect. You will absolutely listen to yourself later and hate it. Don't ever listen to yourself again. I don't ever do that. Just have fun and let it go. And your tribe will find you.
I love that. Your tribe will find you. I love that, Carol. Thanks for joining us today. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Oh, it's my pleasure. It's always good to see your smiling face. Jim, social audio. What are some takeaways, and what should we be looking at, since I think you are on the leading edge of everything we've been talking about moving forward through the end of 2021? What do we need to pay attention to?
Well, I think one of the things we need to pay attention to is the fact that because of the way the world has changed since, March of last year, people aren't going to go back to the way things were before. So this is a new opportunity. It's not going to go away because not everyone's going to go back to having offices. So this is a way to communicate, build relationships. I mean, Chris and I ended up in this great Amazon creators group because of social audio. We, met these guys on a Clubhouse, and now there's 1,000 people in this Facebook group all supporting each other. And so, don't take it for granted. Take the time to, manage your time. I think that's where some people, and I think Mitch, maybe you were guilty. You spent all day on there. There's other things you should be doing, but find some time, find those people that are worth following and engage with them, and you'll see great things happen.
You mentioned the Facebook group. I want to give a shout out to your group. How can people connect with your Amazon Live Facebook group?
Yeah, I think it's just go to Amazon Live Creators Did I say that right, Chris?
Yep, that's it. It's not
Yeah,
our group.
search-
It's not our group. We thought, Mitch, we were going to do a Facebook group, and then we found that group, and we're like, they do it better than we would. So
Well, I thought that was your group.
We're gonna give there.
Yeah, but you guys are so active in that group that kind of highlights the fact that you don't have to start a group to be known for that group.
Yeah.
True.
I
So-
love that. Talk about collaboration.
Yeah, that's what it's all
Mhm.
about.
Adding value. That's awesome.
Adding
Well,
value.
yeah,
So-
yeah, Mitch, you talked earlier before we jumped on about Bob Berg, and that's when you and that's what this is. That's what social audio and video is. It's like jump in and give. It's amazing how much not just Jim and I, but personally each one of our own journeys, like just jumping in and just like meeting people and networking with people and being able to find other people that are like us, not just in a business sense. We have interests outside of just live video and all of that stuff. And so there is, and that is completely what people need to be thinking about too, is like, what are your personal interests? What, do you want to reach out to someone because you have issues with whatever it is? Like social audio is a place where you can, have a community to be able to do that. And I think that's one of the other wonderful things about that is that you can just, reach across the world and have a conversation with someone and be able to be impacted. And that's just really important, I think, for people just to be more well-rounded, not just totally focused on Amazon Live and your podcast and everything else, which we all are. But like, let's also like take care of ourselves and also network with people and surround ourselves with people that are going to lift us up. And I think that's another important part about social audio.
Chris, you said something that's very important. I went all in on the Meerkat and Periscope platforms, and neither one of them are around anymore. And it kind of reminded me, to definitely focus on, platforms will come and go, but relationships will last a lifetime.
Yes.
And if we use these platforms to build meaningful, well-intentioned relationships, there's nothing but good that can come from all of the above. And as all of you have shared, I think social audio has allowed us to do just that. I think if those of you watching, either live or recorded, connect with us and see how we're embracing and developing and learning and taking social audio, whether it's on Clubhouse, whether it's on Twitter Spaces, to the next level, there is an approach, right? There's a right and wrong way to start a room, to moderate a room, to participate in a room, to pre-promote a room, to post-promote a room, to take the audio and video from this show and repurpose it, as Carol was mentioning, so that it saves me time, but it allows us to build our brand for many months or even years to come. Connect with all of us, and Jim and Chris and Carol and Jenny Q. I want to invite all of you in the comments, in Twitter, in Facebook and LinkedIn and YouTube, and wherever this show is being broadcasted, please include your contact links so that our audience members, live and recorded, can connect with you guys and follow up with questions and follow up with, sometimes it's funny. Sometimes many of us, and with Amazon Live, this was my challenge when I reached out to Jim and Chris. I didn't know how to do something and I couldn't figure it out. And literally within 60 seconds, it's like, this is what you need to do. And it saved me so much time, right? So don't try to reinvent the wheel when it comes to social audio. Tap into good people that have kind of figured it out and have their finger on the pulse and understand this digital social audio dance that we're all doing, and just kind of embrace that and dive into it. And I think it'll shorten the learning curve for everyone so that you have a bigger amplification of your brand, you have more meaningful conversations, and you have more success on the social audio platforms. Speaking of success, Jenny Q, I can't tell you how grateful I am for you helping me co-moderate this over on Clubhouse, Amazon Live, and all the socials. It's always good to see your smiling face. Final thoughts when it comes to social audio on the digital platforms.
You know, first of all, the honor is all mine. I always love it when I get to be on a live video with you. And one of the things that you said, Mitch, that really just to me highlights the whole thing is have fun with it. Just have fun. Honestly, at this point in the state of the world, if we're not having fun with what we're doing, why are we doing it? We need more fun in our lives. So the other thing is everybody else wants to have fun too. So you can invite people along with you. Like, let's have fun. Let's do this, right? You can be professional and you can add value and you can talk about your craft or your business or your industry, but have fun with it. And then it really isn't going to matter if you say the word or if you look stupid or if you drop your phone. Not that I did drop my phone in the middle of this live stream and have to pick it up, but hypothetically, if I had,
right.
right. So I love what you said. Have fun and just enjoy what you're doing.
Great words to end and wrap up today's live audio and live video. Carol, Jim, Chris, Jenny Q, really appreciate you guys. Thanks for helping make this show a big success. And for everyone watching, both live and recorded, please reach out to these wonderful human beings if you have legal needs, tech needs, marketing needs, live streaming, live audio needs, or anything else in between. I can promise you they'll be there for you. As for me, if I'm not out paddleboarding or running, I'll be there for you too. You guys take care. I'm going to have to shut down all these different platforms. But listen, stay safe, you guys. Get vaccinated, wear a mask, and make each day your masterpiece. Bye-bye, everybody. Thanks, you guys.
Thanks, Mitch.